All right, folks. You've been waiting. I've been waiting. We've all been waiting. It's about time we got into this game. It is going to be a brand new best of 3. It's going to be TVZ, and I forgot you get weirder colors. Coral Carnage Knockout. So I'm like, what shade of blue, purple, violet? Oh, awkward. We saw nothing. Don't worry. It's okay. So anyways, yeah, you get extra colors in Coral Carnage Knockout. So it's a little bit odd. Anyways, welcome back. In the bottom righter side of the map, it's going to be True Esports Yellow Terran player Beastyqt.
In the middle left, as the Violet Zerg, it's Elazer.
I feel like when you describe that, though, you're like, what, the six-packing Korean?
Well, like, I guess, like, if I looked at just the color on the bars, I would just call it like.
Yeah, it is odd. I gotta tell you, like, if I had the option, I'd pick black every time, though, which we saw more recently, or dark gray, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's sexy on Terran.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Glad we're on the same page. But Beasty likes his yellows, he likes his greens, he likes his orange. It's always been like that since even Wings of Liberty. But as we get into the game, I think one of the things I am most curious about for him is going to be... Oh, that really messes up these boxes. Ugh. I know. Look away, look away. What type of game does Beasty play? Because we've known Beasty to be a bit of a guy who doesn't necessarily play mech anymore, but still turtles. Still will play a style that involves getting to ghosts in the late game. And we discussed this actually just recently, casting him for DreamHack and other things, where it feels like he really does have the late game down pat, more than most Terrans do.
Yeah, he embraces it, which, you know, is the difference, okay? Besides having the good control and knowing what to do, he embraces the end game, where every other Terran is scared of the late game.
Yeah, they're trying to win the game before they have to deal with the late game, I think is probably the better way to go about that.
Yeah. And what's funny about Coral Carnage Knockout, that's a mouthful, is that it can actually play to a couple of different strengths. So it really depends on what each player wants to do with the rocks. I mean, you could be like, okay, I'm going to turtle, I'm going to bring in all my rocks that I can and just, you know, wall off all the other rocks. But then the other player could be like, well, I don't want you to turtle, so I'm going to break down the rocks, right? Or attempt to, because there's so many damn rocks everywhere. But we've seen long games, we've seen short games, early pools, fast tempests. It's actually become a very interesting map, even though it is still like obnoxious one. Like, you know, for instance, Beastyqt taking the low ground command center is actually pretty far away. Well, any base in the low ground is actually pretty far away from your main, even though they have reduced the size of that ramp. It's still like obnoxiously far away if you have only slow units to work with. We actually have a Elazer starting off with a pretty quick lair here. I don't think mutas are like bad as a starter on this map. There's, you know, dead space around the bases, actually quite a bit of dead space, because I think they were more aware of what Liberators could abuse if they did not put a bunch of space behind the mineral line. And also just, you know, obviously mutas will not have a problem going over rocks, so in that way it makes a lot of sense. But we've also seen Nidus Worms on this map, so I'm gonna go with mutas, though. I think that's the direction he's going.
I'm so jaded, by the way, on, like, if you were to ask me what the perfect Terran base layout would look like for main, I wouldn't be able to answer that, because in some cases bigger bases are better, right? Like, you take a look like a map like Invader, too small, don't want that. But then you get a map like Coral Carnage Knockout, and you're like, okay, too big, too many options for Nidus Worms and backdoors, like.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, you know, like very specifically what's odd about this map is the amount that is like behind your mineral line specifically, not like around your base or off to the side, but behind your mineral line. And that happened back on Whirlwind or Tal'Darim? Shoot.
I'll say Whirlwind because I wasn't really around for Tal'Darim.
Okay, well, I think it was actually Tal'Darim because it was Leenock versus Jotchi, and Jotchi was able to put a command center like behind the mineral line to hide it. So when Leenock went to go scout for it, he actually couldn't see it, which is very, very funny. Not that this is going to be a problem here. It's not that much dead space, but it's just the map, the base layouts have obviously changed as StarCraft 2 has developed, but I feel like Legacy of the Void, this specific map pool has the most variety in a while. But this Widowmine job, obviously not doing too much. It was okay prepared for. Not like he needs like a couple more lanes, and Elazer recognizes that too.
Right, but the thing with you is like if he doesn't have legs, then the Marines can actually take on the Queen, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
We just had Fluffy Doe, by the way, donate $10 to the prize pool. Comments and chat saying it's his first time ever donating to a tournament prize pool, and thanks us for running it. So thank you so for contributing the $11 and helping grow the prize pool up to the $255 it currently is. I don't even know if we have promo codes left at this point. They might have all been claimed, but BTTV5, guys. Just a reminder that that's the code you can enter to add $1 to the prize pool.
There's probably not many left, if any at all.
I know, like we used them up in 3 minutes last time. I thought that was so sick. Like we had 100 codes used in 3 minutes. That's insane. Anyways, mutas do pop out, so they're going to easily deal with the medevac. Quickly gets picked off. But for Beasty back at home, I don't think he's too worried about these mutas. His production's humming along. And while he doesn't have turrets scouring every mineral line, he's getting a couple down now to be safe. I think one for his production. Yep, one for his mineral lines. This will be maybe annoying at best. I can't see this getting too much.
It's not. But it will, like, not have trouble at least getting into the main base, where, of course, Lings, Roaches, and what have you would have, with all the rocks being broken down. Beastyqt, despite going for a 2-base build, wanted that early game protection against busts, basically. But doesn't have to worry about that. Doesn't have to worry about some muta harassment. He's doing a fine enough job against it.
Yeah.
His push is going to be occurring, I guess, as Stim finishes, so still a while to go.
I love that you had all this room in these bases, but Beasty squishes everything here in like some very ugly SimCity, where it's like, just put some on this side, put some in its natural. Like, it's just all right here.
Yeah, squish it all together. So what's also, I guess, curious about Beastyqt's build, as we see Elazer's just doing regular like needling bling. Okay, that works. Is that, you know, I think a 2-base push worked really well in some spawn locations. Like, for instance, if what was it? Like, shoot, what was it? It was like Bunny was where Elazer was, and Hydro expanded to the 3rd. That's in the top right type of deal. So you can push from your would-be 3rd to their actual 3rd. I think that's like a great idea, right? This is actually pushing from Beastyqt's main into Elazer's main, though. So a little bit farther to walk, but obviously still a location that, like, you know, the Zerg's not going to be over there, like, naturally, right? They're going to be more focused around your natural and those rocks being broken down or not. So this was probably a bit of a surprise
naturally
for Elazer. Yeah. And this is, of course, where a lot of his important tech is. You're still going to be able to abuse this choke with the tanks.
Yeah, I just realized, though, this is really without medevacs. So I'm less concerned about the healing factor than I am about shuffling the tanks around. But we also have turrets and bunkers coming down. Like, Beasty is really dedicating to this attack.
That's pretty amazing, though. I mean, this is it's a 2-base push that I feel like if you were going to be prepared for, you could maybe like swamp as they come over here. But if they're going to get over here, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Back. He's got to pull those Marines back and let the tanks deal with the Baneleys.
They
do exactly that, and now there's no left. He focus fires the last 3. Only Queens and Mutas are really remaining at this point. If you want to pick up the tanks, you certainly could, and he does at the last second. It's got 5 health remaining.
I think this might have just snowballed. Elazer needs Banelings here, and he doesn't have enough time to get enough Banelings, enough gas to get enough Banelings. Cares if they have speed or not.
This is...
Is it a spawning pool? Oh.
This is, yeah, too far gone. There's no army supply, and he can't make more. 3 Banelings? 4 Banelings? Even if BC didn't split. GG. Yo, what I really liked about this, because I always talk about this, what I really enjoyed about this, though, is I feel like BC played to the strengths of the map. You know, you kind of reference like the command center around the mineral line thing at the start of the game, and that's cool. But like Beasty, like him and who was it? Neeb? Neeb versus Polt are the only people that have really done this like really cool backdoor attack like that, and just been like, "What's up, Coral Carnage Naka? How you doing? Thanks for being here." So that's gonna give him a 1-0 lead in the series. We had a $5 donation coming from Not Dominish during that game, and he says, "I heard rumors that Hell's Boot Time 3 will have a $1 million prize pool and be all best of 69. Can you confirm? Also, please put to White Hair." So White Hair was actually behind by $1, is now up by 4. So White is winning once again. White power. I mean, for hair. For hair. Whoa.
I'm not with him.
That came out weird. White power. No, I can't stop it. Oh my god. Okay. I think I got out of my system. White power. Okay, it's out of my system. But yeah, so White is now ahead once again. White and Blue, I can't believe these two took off so neck and neck. Like, Purple really caught up. This is like the worst horse race of all time, right? Like, Purple comes out of the gates like really far. Beastie needs water. Oh, I wish you would have said that. I could have just put an ad break then. But yeah, Mr. Rain SC, by the way, just resub for 3 months as well. Thank you kindly for that. Or Mr. Ein. Mr. Ein. I don't know. I feel like, guys, if I just say the names like 40 or 50 times, you've got a chance to make it right. Why is the first map of this tournament always forced? We don't do it for Corsair. And I'm so on that, because if we do this, we get to see all the maps. Other times we do not always agree. So Elazer actually asked a fairly it's a fairly interesting, it's a fair question, like why do these tournaments force maps? And you guys will know, I think Alima League and I think Matcherino are the ones that force first picks. Corsair and Chairs for Gaming, we let them pick vetoes and this, that, and the other. And there are some certain pros and cons to this. Like, on one side, for the players, it could suck. Like, if you're just really bad at one map, you're going to be like, okay, well, round of 8, I'm going to lose that first game no matter what. But then you have the advantage of loser's pick. So that may or may not matter at all. Maybe it's irrelevant. Elazer's trying to make the case of saying that, like, vetoes will showcase better games, usually. And I can only sort of agree on that. Because we were talking about this a lot during DreamHack, where we're seeing a lot of weirder maps crop up because all of the maps are getting vetoed. Like, no one wants to play on gold-based maps. No one wants to give Zerg that opportunity. Which, by the way, Elazer picked for game number 2. So, for example, he wouldn't get this opportunity necessarily in a veto system. I don't know. I personally just like it because you get to see more maps this way. It guarantees that we'll see Coral Carnage knock out at least once, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, goofy intro. Get hype. Oh, Zombie Grab, we got to give another shout out for the Matcherino prize pool. You guys got to type !Matcherino in chat and go to their website and check this shit out, but I prefer not to. Just donated $20 to the prize pool and says, more great SC2 action, keep it up. And that brings the total prize pool up to $279.51. I don't know how we got 51 cents, but damn.
But we did.
All right, getting into this, though, in the bottom right side, he's not staying in the bottom right side, of course, but it's going to be Beastyqt.
That's what I thought you were oohing at. In the top left, as the red Zerg, it is Elazer. Team kill. Hey, look at that. But I think it is, you know, besides being like a team kill, maybe they also like playing each other, and certainly they're in a lot of the same tournaments that we cast. It's pre on terraces, and, well, a 2-Rax is not totally unheard of. Proxy Reapers in general are not unheard of. It's actually not Reapers, though. It's Marines. No gas taken back at home. So this Overlord might die.
Well, that's going to be awkward, because on one hand, like, the Overlord may not matter. Like, you don't want to waste time chasing an Overlord around at all. Even if it's like, even if it's in your face in their natural, like priority's got to go on the bunker, priority's got to go on getting the hatchery down, and the priority's got to be getting the buildings up before the creep spreads.
Yeah, well, yeah, unless it like actually like floats over that ridge, you're not gonna chase it for sure, because you know you have to go up and down, up and down. So, and it's also just smart of Elazer to pull it away before Beastyqt would even notice it. But like I said, Elazer, he went for this early pull. Like, he expected something shenanigan-wise, whether it be Reapers, like a ton of barracks in Beastyqt's main, or an actual proxy. I think the proxy is certainly more surprising, but the same deal happens. You gotta have, or you're gonna want to have earlier queens, earlier lings, potentially an earlier Roachwarren, which he still goes for, despite that being Reapers. And these are still going to be obviously useful. You can turn them into Ravagers, and you can just rain from above with Corrosive Biles on the bunkers, hopefully, and not have to give away as many units in the eventual break.
Justice rains from above.
Justice is in the eye of the holder, or something. I forget what Zenyatta says.
I thought it was walking to the iris or something like that.
No, if you kill Farah as Zenyatta, he says justice is in the eye of those who hold it, or something like that.
Oh, that's good. That's kind of neat. I love that they started adding that into the game. Anyways, another bunker is going to come down. Man, today's the last day of Overwatch, pretty much. Which is
Yep.
So anyways, another bunker was coming down, bit of a distraction. Cancels it. Not bad at all. There's a bit of a problem here where for Beastie, it's not about this bunker holding, but it's about buying as much time as possible, knowing that your opponent can't expand while this is up. Like, this is going to go down. Without a doubt, this goes down. Ravager's going to take some shots off, but the idea is that he's just trying to buy time. The other Marines have already been sent back home. He's got a tank on the way. He should be fine for any sort of follow-up.
Right, so this is... There's, like, of course, a couple different ways you can follow up a 2-racks, just like there was in Heart of the Swarm's Liberty. You could try and be very greedy, you know, like rinking 2-racks into a 3cc and try and hold with a single bunker, or not. But this is with just, you know, production, and he gets the overload. That was, you know, Elazer's fault for staying there so long.
Let's see if I can nail this. Bonjour, comment ça va? Dr. Yogo just hosted us for 100 viewers. Thank you so much, sir. He's a French commentator, for those who don't know, and that's why I tried to bust out the French. But that's also about all the French I know in that small segment.
That kind of sounds like... Or, sorry, that... Can't you just say bonjour, ça va? Like, isn't just ça va like a question?
You know what? I don't know, because it's been too
remember.
long since I've done French. I know, je m'appelle Rifkin.
We're going to do great in Montreal.
Well, Montreal, I'm just going to do the... Hello, do you speak English?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Or, y'all speak American? Howdy.
Y'all. Alright, so this is one of the biggest reasons to why you would not try and fit in a command center, although I think you could have actually fitted at least one command center, probably not two, and still had a tank drop. But it is very scary, you know, they're going to get roaches, they could potentially try and bust you, especially if their overlord is hanging around your main that entire time and seeing how greedy you're being, so he pushes that back actually very easily.
The command center element aside, it's actually, I just want to emphasize how important it was you got these medevacs to go with the tanks, because while Elazer wasn't going for a big true all-in, had he been, just tanks won't cut it. They die to the Corsair Bile so easily. So the medevac, whether it was going to be one with the tank, obviously we see two, and he's going to go for some harass to pair with it. These were really essential to making sure he didn't die to Ravagers in any form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it also will potentially lead to a push. Like, I don't know how eager he is to push out. He has a commander on the way after all, but we have seen like tank pushes earlier on against Zerg and Protoss, actually. And of course, you know, Terran already has that option. But with Stim, like, very far away, I don't think that Beastyqt should be pushing out. If he does, he better be confident of his tank micro and being able to chip away at these Roaches and Ravagers. This is a really nice amount for Elazer. Obviously not, like, at a time he really wants them, because they are just being used to defend. He'd rather have drones and a third base, but unfortunately, he's gonna just have drones, it looks like. These tanks aren't being denied, and
that's a kill, not a cancel.
Yeah.
So apparently our BTTV 5 codes have all been used up. That means you guys have helped contribute $100 to the prize pool with the freebie codes, and I'd like to thank everybody who did. Unfortunately, it also means we don't have any extra free codes, as we've just, I don't know, we go through them too fast, and Matcherino's kind of like, yo, these are, for everyone else we work with, these last all day. You guys use them up too quick. So I don't know that we can necessarily get more for this one, guys. Just thank you kindly for helping contribute for those that did.
So close every single time. But Spire is on the way to really help defend against these tank drops, because 2 tank drops is quite bothersome, really. 1 tank drop is like, okay, just like make Lings follow them around, but 2 tank drops obviously has the power to kill a hatchery, not even cancel. It's definitely Elazer's bad. Kill queens for sure, and chip away at Roaches and Ravagers. Like, you have to depend on them messing up at this point. So Muta is almost a necessity. I mean, already losing a hatchery, though, I feel like these tanks have done their job, and as long as they survive, they can follow up with these Marines that are now going to have Stim. So combat shields will start soon as well.
The Viking I really like has been picking up Overlords. I mean, up to 3 kills is not bad, but that final one supply blocks a laser, so what few mutas there are, just gonna be the few mutas for the time being. Now he's gonna try and get away with these tanks. If he actually, you know, if he brings his Marines forward, he might be able to save them, but that boost is gonna run out, and he's not gonna be able to get these out. Drops them both immediately, maybe to distract, get that medevac home, get some time for that boost.
It's really too bad that you would hope at least something would get out, 1 medevac or 1 tank somehow, but he still has a sizable army despite that. Like, it would have been very, very good of him to bring all of that back in time. Just a little this time in the mutas.
Well, actually, so one of the funny things to consider is Beast doesn't have missile turrets down, so this kind of sucks. But also, this is a map where I think we've talked about it many, many times. Gold base benefits Zerg so much more than Terran in a lot of different ways. Beasty just lost a few SCVs, but the nice thing is, because he is on only 2 bases, he's still got kind of appropriate levels of SCVs.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, but it's probably not so bad. When you look at the income advantage, because we finally had the graphs back,
yeah, I
for
forgot.
casting DreamHack, it's actually spiking still quite a lot better for Elazer.
Yeah,
But the point is, I mean, Beastyqt still has a good army, which I think he has a lot to work with here, but it is down 40 army supplies. So while it's like,
well,
the micro potential here is great, Elazer's number might be greater.
There's that and the element of upgrades. Tanks can certainly do a lot, but I think one of the aspects of this was Beasty, with that bunker push early, really didn't want to get to this point where Elazer had so much money that he could just make a ridiculous amount of supply. As the Marines chase forward, these can't just scrap out like they normally do. They gotta stay alive to keep everything safe from the Mutalisk follow-up. He does pick up several of the tanks, but
that's
game. Yeah, he knows it too, so GG. Tying up this series 1-1. This will now give Beasty map pick as we go to game number 3. Gonna pop off to a small break though, nothing too large. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes when we return. Alright, that intro gets me right at the feels every time. Alright, game number 3. It's tied up 1-1 between these two teammates here in the... Actually, no, this isn't even the round of 8 yet. This is the round of 16. Spawning here in the bottom right side of Frozen Temple, we got the pink Terran, True Esports Beastyqt, and is staying at home this time.
In the top left, as the orange Zerg, it is Elazer.
All right, we get some really good matchups going on in the brackets, and I know a lot of people are saying, please cast TLO, please cast all that such and such. Unfortunately, we can't cover every game, but I would like to know that Mana and Guru are both streaming their series. So Guru currently playing against Snoot, and Mana currently playing against Damaga. You can find those links on Team Liquid. Now, it's going to be the player point of view and not a casting point of view, but you can still see the games that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, these round of 8 matchups, like, the winner of this playing Tales of Kanji is honestly not that intriguing to me, but I look and I see what is, like, possibly Showtime versus Snoot or Guru. I see what is, like, TLO versus Mana, maybe, Hydra versus Keen, or even Revolver, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it is important to note that Hydra just went against Bly, so bye Bly, but you already won a tournament today, so don't get greedy. And that...
So check yourself.
Blue Cheese did beat Botnik, and I remember mentioning that, I was surprised he's giving him any trouble whatsoever because we just don't recognize the name Blue Cheese, but I'm actually going up against TLO right now.
Well, best of luck to all the players, of course, that we aren't currently casting. Now, Frozen Temple has certainly changed the landscape of the natural a little bit, but this, I think, has more to do with what was versus Protoss more than anything else. So, the map itself, pretty much the same for versus Zerg, and this presents pros and cons, right? Pros being able to use the rocks, lift over, have a safe fallback for tanks. We've seen a lot of players actually doing this now, and that's cool. Cons being there's a lot of really wide open engagement areas. It's really far distances to thirds and fourths, so it's not easy for a Terran player. Even with a planetary fortress, it's not easy to secure those bases.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little more complicated, but we'll see if it gets that far. Beastyqt, no, the Reaper. He went for a 2-base push, but only after like a 2-rax, and I feel like he really wanted to. It was a game that he wanted to be like a jab punch knockout type deal. First 2-rax and the follow-up push, and hopefully they've never taken much from the gold bases that are this is my map. Obviously didn't work. He got overwhelmed, regardless of a cancel and a 2 kills actually. He killed the natural attribute and killed the 3rd. So. We'll see if he does another 2-base push here. He is going up to a starport right now, but that doesn't say much, honestly. Like, tank drops are pretty popular. 30 TCs early are not so popular. Unless it's like Dusk Towers. And even then, not so popular. See so many Baneling busts, if the Zerg can see that.
Well, the Reaper's did a great job tonight in this 3rd. Spending a lot of time trying to kill this drone. This is build canceling into an extractor, but this has certainly been annoying to deal with. Hops up to the high ground, finally places that down with the help of the Lynx with having speed finish. Dives on 8. It's probably not going to plan to get out of this base alive. Gets a grenade shot off and scouts to see no Roach Warren, no Evo Chamber, and most importantly, no layers starting up.
Yeah. Yeah, all good things to scout. Not have to worry quite yet. Beastyqt going for that tank drop as well, no, actually first it's the Widowmine drop and then it is the tank follow-up. We'll see if he will drop with the tanks as he got a lot of damage on last game, but it seems to be to no avail anyway. So if he bothers, he's getting second medevac, so I think he will. But first the Widowmine drop. The Ling does scout this and it's not entirely unexpected. He's doing the most popular standard build for Terran right now against Zerg. Not really going to be able to abuse the rock same way a tank push could have. You know, maybe we'll see that after. But certainly it can surprise Elazer. He doesn't have Lings here, and his queen's a little slow off that creep, so...
I like getting aggressive like this. I mean, it's not going to... Oh, well, that Widowmine was actually a pretty sweet hit. This actually gives him the opportunity to kill a queen. Had that Widowmine not killed so many Lings, maybe that wouldn't be the case. That was a surprisingly good Widowmine. This is where I pet it. Like, there, good boy. Want to scratch her under the chin? Okay, there you go.
Wouldn't mind too good?
Wouldn't mind too good. All right. Now, the important part, too, is the medevac didn't take a lot of damage through this, so normally this is picked away. But, oh, you know what? Turning this into a bit of an arena situation. Tank will be advanced forward through drops if necessary, but it can reach the hatchery. And Beasty it's worth noting, guys, dedicating a lot to this, right? Like, we don't see upgrades coming out. There's no combat shields. There's no stim. There's no +1. This is a really dedicated attack. So if this doesn't kill the third, this is probably not going to be worth it at the end of the day.
It is really important to know that stim and combat shield, because the economy really won't be that bad. In fact, they're on even workers right now, which would favor the Terran, and the third CC is almost done. But that stim and combat shield, like, that does hurt. The follow-up pushes just be much less dramatic.
If he had... He's even gone for a third CC. Like, Beasty's actually looking to play this game out, but this is such a strange, techless way to go about it. I guess he's really hoping that the harass also forces Elazer to tunnel vision the same way he has a bit here, and you know, if you're focused on dealing with all these drops, you might also be missing your +1, but not the case.
I think he really wanted to get that hatchery.
Yeah, he needed to, I would argue, too.
Either a hatchery or like a drone pool in desperation, I feel like is what he might usually get. Because Elazer really was on the cusp of like being broken, actually. Like, he was flooding with Lings continuously. If he had a larva problem, that would have really hurt him. If he had less queens, that would have hurt him. If the Widowmine had survived, it would have hurt him. There's, you know, it was a very scary time, but obviously Elazer dealt with it probably better than most. And Beastyqt's in... not like a bad position, okay? Because if all he has to deal with is muta harassment, then that's fine. Like, stim and combat shields will eventually finish, and he won't be any worse off.
Well,
but if he has to deal with like a Baneling push, then that's when you would really hope to have stim and combat shields.
Yeah. We're in the middle of the map. Pick it up. Nope. Okay. Never mind. Tank's just kind of chipping away the base. I mean, I guess the nice thing is these bases are low, so drops may be able to execute them later. But for the time being, I mean, it's going to be a stop. Like, you mentioned the mutas, and the threat of those, certainly. I don't believe Beasty actually scouted to see the lair. No, he didn't. And he didn't see the spire either. So for him, he's playing a little bit blind back at home. But as you mentioned, what he has should be fine to deal with this initially.
Oh, oopsie.
Ooh, that is a big oopsie, because that's all his pressure now gone. You know, we actually look at the mineral count, by the way. So much better for Beasty while this has all been going on. Like, that graph bleeds pink.
Doesn't, you know, surprise me. They were at even workers, which doesn't account for the mules, obviously, and that's not good for Zerg, who would love to, of course, get the 70 right off the bat and then worry about making drones. And Lazer's back up to a decent amount in fourth base. So, you know, the economy worked out fine for Beastyqt. It is about the pressure after that Elazer should have felt very comfortable to get to a fourth base, and he has, and to get to his upgrades, and he's on his way to his 2-2 already. So his creep spread should also be like expanding a little bit more down the middle, off to the left, stuff to the right too. Actually, I think Frozen Temple, not as easy obviously as like Arena to spread that creep in one direction. But Beastyqt, he's got an actually really good army. Stim and combat shields are done. I wonder if he's gonna push now.
So this is where I get kind of interested about the army. Because the Elazer is coming here with Lings and mutas, and I don't think you even need like decent micro. Just have a couple tanks in range and have your Marines not AFK, and you're like good to go. But once Baneling speed finishes, once he's got all of that going for him, that's where this gets a little bit dangerous. So that's far enough away that I'm not worried for BC right now.
It is, you know, a question of when and how does Beastyqt push. If he waits too long, then Elazer, could start his way to Hive, and then you're on that timer, and he does start Infestation Pits. And if he pushes badly, of course, well, then
that may not be an issue though, because we've talked about this before, and I'll just reiterate: like Beasty has a pretty good handle in the late game for TVZ.
That's true. So basically, if he doesn't push soon, then he's just gonna play, Beastyqt late game, which is fine for him. Apparently, he doesn't mind it. But it is that time where, like, okay, maybe you wait till about halfway 2-2, so that maybe when your push finally commences, it has 2-2. That's something we definitely see. But the tank count's really high. You got the important upgrades, are pretty high anyways. 6. Liberators are on the way too to deal with those mutas or help a little bit. And I'm sure Elazer is constantly poking in with these mutas, waiting for him to waiting to see does Beastyqt push out, because he also has a Ling run by, ready to go. Banelings too, actually, for that third base. But he's seeing a Terran that's not moving out, and yeah, he's gonna try and take advantage of that. Go to a hive. Beastyqt getting ready. Yes, he is picking up all those tanks.
Okay, well, the tank in the air aspect of this, not that big of a deal. There's still not that many banelings. What I really enjoy seeing this Liberator count grow is that this should be enough to deal with the mutas. We still see Elazer dedicating them, and unfortunately, the more mutas there are, that's also the more splash damage that will get done, so a little bit worrying. But I do want to note that BC went for the tank upgrades. This is a bit of a dynamic we've discussed more and more recently. We've been seeing swells and swells of Lings. And without that +1 weapons, you actually can't one-shot Zerglings. You can always one-shot Banelings, but can't one-shot Zerglings that have armor upgrades. So tanks are well-suited to support this army. He does lose a lot of Marines on the front lines, but with the Liberators and the remaining Marines in the back, the mutas are still not that big of a threat. Finishing up those Banelings, though, he's ready to roll in with even more big, bright, glowy orange balls of death.
Yeah, actually, Elazer's doing a pretty nice job defending against this, but he's still down in armor supply, and the mutas are never, they feel like they're never going to be very useful. They do take out all but one Liberator, though, and that Liberator is very low. We had the Ling counterattack, by the way, kill 15 workers back at Beastyqt's home, and Elazer is just barely holding on. He's getting more mutas as he realizes that maybe they can start taking out those tanks now. One tank goes down.
The Marines are just like, fuck this, fall back, but the tanks pop off all those Banelings so they can start advancing once again. You mentioned he's controlling this well. I like it because he didn't over-dedicate with the mutas. Like, he didn't fly them in and lose them to the Liberators. In fact, the Liberators pretty much gone from the equation now. But the Banelings being segmented in 3 and 4 at a time, while they were not effective, it got kills, whereas all of them going in at once, that's all of them dead, like we're going to see here. The tank's just going to focus them down. It's not going to be a problem dealing with them, and the Marines are going to live through it, or most of the Marines will live through this. New Liberators coming in the front line, looking for some splash damage. Marines looking to advance forward, but that was the last of the Banelings.
That was a little overeager from Elazer. He might have wanted to wait with those Banelings and try to pick off 1 or 2 of those tanks with the mutas, but the Liberators, the reinforcement Liberators, were arriving, so he was on a limited time. But losing that 4th base, it's not game over yet for Elazer. Beastyqt, though, I think he wisely packs up and goes home before he gets overwhelmed. Yeah. He's killed a base. He has his own 4th base. He should be feeling pretty good going into the late game, but it's not over.
Well, the mutas, I guess, it's funny because these are the things I expected to get cleaned up first. With the Marine count being as high as it was and the Liberators being at about 4 coming into that, I'm actually a little bit surprised the mutas got away with as much as they did. What I am worried about, too, though, is because BC did make so many Liberators and they didn't pay off necessarily, he doesn't have that many medevacs. So these Marines all stimmed, he's got like 2 medevacs to heal that up.
Yeah. A common theme nowadays with any Terran matchup, it feels.
It's a shame Liberators... No, I'll back that up. Liberators can have the same gas cost. It's a shame starports cost gas, though, because you can't mass produce enough starports to help make up for that lack of production on Liberators and medevacs. I mean, you got to add the reactor onto it as well, so it's really, really gas expensive just for the building to produce in the first place.
Yeah. And because the game was not over
no, he's
with
gonna lose
that
3-3.
push,
Oh, these mutas pick up 3-3. Don't go for the SCVs. Kill 3-3.
Yeah, oh, he's not gonna get it. I absolutely agree. Like, kill 3-3, have that really big lead on it too, as you also get ultras. But he does kill 15 SCVs, so it's not like it, was terrible, but opportunity lost a little bit there. Oh no.
Well, if he loses all the mutas, it's not going to be worth it. He doesn't actually lose that many, though. They just got to fly on through this. Marines are going to catch him on multiple sides, but not in the north. BC loading is a little bit awkward to see as well. But, okay, so let's go over this for a second, because losing a lot of SCVs there was devastating. He's down to 37 workers to the 74 of Elazer. But with the help of mules and the fact that we're hitting this late game stride, where for Beasty... I don't know, like, maybe less SCVs isn't such a bad thing. He doesn't have the bank to support it yet, but if you've got less workers, you can have more army. Something that you're going to definitely need against Ultras.
That's all well and good if you're already at 180 supply and you're just about to max out.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I think he did lose him a little bit too early to be fine with those losses. So that might bite him in the butt later when he really needs any amount of bank, honestly, to stay alive. He also doesn't have enough of a bank to start transitioning like really into late game. You know, we don't have a lot of liberators. We don't have that second starport or additional factories even.
He's still not healed up the
Ghost
majority of his
Academy.
units either.
Yeah, there's not actually a late game here for Beastyqt, and he's usually very good at the late game.
Yeah.
But without just transition here, I mean, just Mass Marine is going to be wrecked by Ultras.
Well, it's not only that, but like, there's no ghosts. I mean, liberators can work in select scenarios, but let's be honest, it's probably not going to happen in this one. I'm really just surprised we didn't see him go for ghosts, because we've commonly seen that be the theme for Beastie. But he's going to move out with a lot of Marines, tanks, liberators. I guess it's worth noting he didn't really dedicate too much to weapon upgrades. He's finally getting the air weapon upgrades.
This is a questionable push out. I mean, I think he's trying to push before the Ultra count is high, or preferably before they're without chitinous plating, but there is plating, and the Ultra count is at 7.
Oh, it's a little far forward. We can't afford to lose any of these medevacs. Every stim is so painful. He's going to kill a base for this, but lose one back at home. Banelings run into the SCV line. No chance to repair. Ultra's now going for BC's other base, and we are probably, it's safe to say, officially in base trade territory, because there's no go back home for BC. At this point, lift up the bases, man. Start floating now, because you're not going to hold on to what you have. Not against those Ultras. But at the same time, if the Ultras have to come home, maybe he stabilizes? It's unlikely.
Maybe if he could get the Liberators in a choke as he does defensively, but offensively, I was thinking of he is gonna maybe get the natural here. But the Corruptors come in, the mutas come in, the Liberators go down. That's game.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh no. The Marines run out of space to micro, so they get back a couple of Banelings, and of course the Ultras. They're having a little bit of trouble in their own patches, but eventually they'll reach those Marines.
This really did look like such a good game for BC as well. For I'd say a majority of this, like with how long he shut down that third, his later stim was never punished. Unfortunately, though, without money, there's no going forward for this Portarian. Down to 15 SCVs.
Yeah, I think losing the workers at a pretty critical point was, well, critical. Like, that was a really good counterattack plus the mutas attacking there. So that as he set the fourth base up, he thought, okay, you know, time to play the late game. Oh, wait, like, I barely have any money. And one of the main problems that initially was there for the Ghost was that, you know, you couldn't afford them. They're actually very mineral intensive for the last 3 years. Something like that. So he just had no transition really to that late game and got swamped by Ultras, although he's killing them now as Elazer gets a little bit lazy.
The Liberators finally get kills, and no matter how good this looks right now for him to kill units, like snipe off the mutas, get the last Corruptor, maybe kill that Ultra, the fact of it still remains, BC doesn't... I guess he does land bases and move over his main, and that's cool, but like he just doesn't have anything to work with. He's done an 11 and 12 supply.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. BC's lost this game, but look at Elazer, you know, for... What I think with 3 extra bases that are still mining, I would have thought him not to go down to as low as 33 army supply, but he just did not care. He knew he won the game. He was letting his Ultras run through the Liberators.
Yeah, Corruptors are also pushing back a lot of the CCs that are attempting to land and mine. I mean, even just getting Mules out would have been really nice, but not here and not today. GG gets called, and Elazer will advance on in the brackets to that sweet, sweet round of 8. But I'm also hoping Showtime and Guru haven't started yet, because that would be a really good one to cast.
I got bad news.
They already started?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been at 4 minutes. Okay, that's fine. We got a lot of other really good games to choose from. We are going to go to a commercial break, though, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Figure out what we're casting next.